How to explain working capital like an investment banker? Well, most of the candidates answer this question technically correct, and it's one of the most favorite interview questions in investment banking. But yet, candidates end up giving wrong technical positioning. You often hear that if inventory goes up, the cash goes down. Well, it's not technically incorrect, but the answer still lies at the surface level. Bankers don't stop there. They explain why it happened, what it means for the cash flow, and the deal terms. Most of the students miss this point. They focus only on numbers, but bankers focus on the actual story. What caused the movement? Was it strategic? Was it seasonal? What does it mean for liquidity? The bankers will go out and actually focus their understanding on the underlying rationale. Let's shift from the mechanical answers to some deal ready explanations. I will show you three common working capital items and how to speak about them the way investment bankers do, namely receivables, inventory, payables. Let's translate them properly. First, receivables. You don't say receivables have increased. Instead, an investment banker would go ahead and say it like this: receivables rose because key clients negotiated some credit terms. This was good for the relationship, but definitely it has tightened some short term liquidity. Yeah, it makes more sense. It gives you the more wider business angle here. Yeah, doesn't appear technical or textbook definition. Next, inventory. You often hear inventories increased, but the way an investment banker would put up is the company stacked up ahead of festive demand. Smart move for sales, but it locks up cash until the goods are sold. Definitely, there is a company which is preparing for upcoming festive season. They want to stock up their inventory. It works well for them. Yeah, they are estimating that their sales will be high in upcoming few months, which is fine. But the repercussions of that, or another aspect to that, is that your cash is getting locked up on that unsold inventory. That's how you put it. Simple. Yeah. Next, payables. Don't simply say payables have increased. Go behind one step ahead of that. The company delayed the payments to suppliers to preserve cash. It is useful in the short term, but could strain vendor relationships. Yeah, it has a impact on the relationship that you will have vendor. You're protecting your liquidity, but at what costs? At the cost of having some sort of friction with your vendors. You want to delay their payments. Yeah, it may have repercussions, but it's fine. It's a part of the business game. Next, now let's bring this into the real deal world. If in an acquisition situation, if the working capital is high, the buyer has to put in more cash consideration at the closing of the deal. This will impact the purchase price and also how the buyer arranges for those funds, the funding structure. It could be debt, it could be equity, or it could be its internal cash, but definitely working capital will have an impact on that. Which is why bankers add a working capital adjustment clause to the term sheet which they negotiate. It protects both the buyers and the sellers and avoids any kind of surprises or shocks. Yeah. Lastly, it's always advisable to act like the person or become the person before you try to go for that specific position. Speak like a banker. Always go beyond the numbers. Explain what caused the change, what it means for liquidity, and how it impacts the deal. That's how a banker speaks, and that's how you show you are deal ready. Yeah. So if you liked this way of teaching, clear, grounded, and focus on the real outcomes, this is how I teach every week inside the Genius Investment Banking Program. It is live. It is an applied learning environment where we all go beyond theory and focus how to think, communicate, and operate like a banker. If this sounds like the kind of learning you need, you can check the link in the description or just reach out to me. You have all my contact details in the description. This is Pratik signing off. Thank you.